Almost every person in the world knows what a lion is and has a visual image of that beast. From Lion King to the statues in the cities, they are the quintessential predator. But in many ways, that is the problem. Everyone thinks that someone is taking care of them. Who could imagine Africa with no lions?
How the world's top predators are the engines that drive everything. To fully understand the concepts of predation and the real impact it has on the natural world, we often need to go out of our comfort zone. It's like standing on a battlefield and hearing the voices of the dead, seeing their ghosts reenact the maneuvers over and over, each time hoping for a different outcome.
For Derek and me, it's been a challenging journey, but only by spending the time could we ever hope to understand their importance and the intensity of wild Africa. We first decided to work with lions at night in the early 80s. We needed to see beyond the veil of darkness to get into their space and into their time. We lived like this for 15 years, sleeping during the day and moving around at night like nocturnal predators. Can you imagine living with the stress of knowing that something can suddenly come out of the darkness at you at any moment, from any direction?
We were in our 20s on an exciting, grand adventure. And in the darkness, the lions don't always have it their own way. In an earlier film called Eternal Enemies, we discovered a massive undercurrent of aggression, takeovers, battles, and basically a blood feud between hyenas and lions in the dark. It was like nothing we'd ever seen in animals, and everything we knew about gang warfare in humans. The puzzle was, when do lions win and when do hyenas? One day we calculated the total weight of the hyena clan and that of the lions and found out that they are virtually identical in all of the conflicts we'd seen. It's an arms race, with each side deploying equal firepower. But it's a balance. Too many hyenas in a clan, and the food they win is not enough. Chaos erupts. It's a limiting factor.
These lion-hyena battles left one question unanswered. Why sometimes hyenas win so easily, and other times lions chase them off. Then we realized the answer is hidden behind a mane. Hyenas that rob the lionesses sometimes have a surprise heading their way.
But there was one last puzzle about this. Sometimes hyenas rally even against a heavy adult male. This vitally important function of male lions is largely hidden if you only observe lions during the day. Most hyena takeovers happen after dark. It's then that the males show their true worth to the pride. 30 years ago, We'd filmed the poster child of prime defending male lions. We named him Intwaidumela, he who greets with fire, a privilege he saved up especially for his meetings with our hyenas. We could have named him the hyena killer. I've never been quite so impressed as I was this day by the sheer power and intensity of the chase. It showed the individual obsession that some lions have, and the sheer will to kill. This is the most exciting lion hunting any filmmaker or researcher could ever hope for. Buffalo hunting is some of the most dangerous and extreme. Kills on large buffalo take a whole pride, and the battle can go on for hours. Female buffalo are much easier for them to kill, but are still dangerously armed with sharp horns and hooves that can slice open a thin-skinned animal like a lion. It turns into a contest of wits and sheer force.
It's taken us a long time to fully understand, to see beyond the obviously disconcerting blood and gore of a kill. But there is no doubt that this is not only the harsh reality of it all, but the very core of what predators are all about. I think it's over.
The difference between these predators and us is that they kill because they have to live. And it's worth remembering that each lion has that same killer instinct, no matter how peaceful they may look.
Females hunt most of the prey, and they're built for it. Their shape is perfect. Bulk in the neck and wrestling muscles, and slight in the hips and legs. It's important to know that these lionesses have grown up around us, choosing the solid shade of our car in preference to the dappled light that dances through trees. I probably have images of over 1,000 lions on file. I'm always in search of that one photograph that crystallizes the spirit of the huntress.
And each lion is different. Migrations need a driving force, and sometimes that comes in the shape of a surprise, lurking in the long grass. Harsh? No. We know this female has cubs, born 2 days ago in a very difficult hot season. She's had a string of failures this week already.
And sadly, another one today. Keeping the defenders of the pride in food is an expensive tax to pay on days like this, with cubs crying out for a meal somewhere in the thicket.
Her male is old, battle-scarred but still the pride's defender. Their future depends on his existence and the stability he brings. But as we look into his eyes, we both have a simultaneous memory of a male we knew very well years ago.
He was almost family to us, but this was the only male we'd seen like this in 7 years, and he resolved a question we had. What happens to old males? The vultures had pecked off his tail and he was losing his mane. He had lost his pride. He passed away in defiance of the rule that those who live by the sword die by the sword. There really are no excess males beyond their prime. His skull and dozens of others stay with us so we can piece together exact ages, and although it gives me the heebie-jeebies to look up and see Derek pawing over skulls in the dark like Dr. Jekyll, there's a way for us to better understand the life cycle of males.
Not everyone shares that fascination. Or sees that magnificence. The numbers speak for themselves. While safari hunters shoot about 500 males a year, it's from an incredibly small gene pool. 50 years ago, there were 450,000 lions, and today we may have as few as 20,000. Hunters select out the fittest examples of the species. By exactly the same characteristics, lions themselves used to dominate and select winners in conflicts. Better manes provide better neck protection and look good on walls. Larger bodies win battles and strengthen the gene pool. Over time, we effectively weed out the best and leave the weaker lions to breed. Territories are disrupted and the entire complex social system of lions falls apart. Lions have been fighting for hundreds of thousands of years, of course, but it is done with a strict set of rules of engagement. Theirs is a violent world, not a malicious one. That's our world alone.
After every violent attack where a male lion is pushed out, there is a ripple effect of killing. They kill all existing cubs. Lionesses are attacked, sometimes fatally injured, or they move away. Young lions leave the area prematurely and then die. This is all natural, but forced to happen more frequently because of hunting pressure. For every hunting license, we estimate 20 to 30 other lions die in a silent behind-the-scenes wreckage of the pride system. But I'm worried about the disappearing of bloodlines and the passing on of old family knowledge. It's like an entire culture being destroyed.
At Duba, our lions are protected from this fate. Botswana banned all lion hunting some years ago. The island is naturally cut off and protected from anyone except the extremely brave or the extremely stupid, like us perhaps. But for now at least, the Wonky Bridge is the only way in or out, and they are safe from the outside influences. 20,000 lions. That means there may be 4,500 males. At least in places like Duba, they are safe and breeding. But for cubs to survive, they need that stability that male lions lend to the system. But even here, in this isolated paradise of Duba, something sinister is happening. Females are on edge, sister fighting sister, the pride falling apart. We couldn't figure it out. Every time we turned around, it was getting worse.
In 6 years, the pride has lost over 96 cubs. None survived. And worse, it's their own pride. Sisters killing each other's cubs, not outsiders. And then the mothers eat their own cubs.
We don't know why this is happening. They enjoy perfect conditions. But we've seen this before. A pride of lions grows, flourishes, and then, like a flower with a set life cycle, blooms, wilts, and dies. A whole pride disappears with its bloodlines, and possibly with that unique knowledge of buffalo hunting in water. What we do know is that the closer to extinction, the more rapid the journey becomes.
Because buffalo skeletons litter the grassland here, it gives the impression that lions win each and every battle. In fact, it's a fairly evenly matched conflict, with aggressive buffalo often dominating. At least 6 lions we know have been cornered against the bush and gored to death by buffalo. The odds of survival are challenging for lions, even if they do not have the handicap of disappearing range or the haunting shadows of hunters. It's no wonder the cats are losing the battle.
I think that without our deep appreciation of all this, we'd be depressed by the projections, and yet we aren't.
For us, it's a never-ending quest. For example, we now understand that lions specialize in what they are good at. Hunting buffalo at Duba, for example. But a nearby predator is just the opposite. A notorious night stalker of the dense forest is out in the open at midday, breaking every rule. The usual prey are small and medium-sized animals, but when we followed leopards for 4 years, we logged up a huge prey range, 33 species in total. In fact, they eat just about anything. They're generalists, but it is still a surprise to see this male hunting way above his target range, following the buffalo.
Fortune favors the brave, or in this case the generalists. So we expect to see lion numbers dropping and leopard numbers soaring. We're starting to see a different trend though. Both have dropped to roughly the same degree, 95% in 50 years. First we were confused. Hunters collect skins, but it's seldom a component of poaching. We worked with the military anti-poaching squad in Botswana for years. Mostly we expected to be catching meat poachers, and by that I mean antelope hunters. But we started finding that hundreds of leopards are being swept up in a wave of killing.
Spotted big cat skins are used in alarming numbers for rituals and ceremonies in Africa. They are for kings and sangomas or witch doctors and church leaders. Even some presidents wear them as signs of beauty, power and royalty. The leopard's intense beauty is a death sentence. 2,000 leopards are hunted legally each year throughout Africa, despite the agreement that leopards are endangered. Perhaps it's a misguided effort to capture magic and put it in a bottle. Perhaps this desire in us is our dark side.
There is a common image of Africa. A herd of prey wandering through the sunset, stepping carefully into the night for fear of predators. The truth is even more sinister. In more than 80% of the original lions and leopards range, the night is often devoid of those predators. The brochure image of Africa is often not real. And in places where poachers are busy, they are sweeping for predators first and wiping them out. They do this because it's scary to walk into a lion at night, as you go about your business of burning the bush to flush out prey.
Fire is an ancient poaching device, but even in the shadows of poachers' activities, or just beyond the flames of man's encroachment, cats still survive in small pockets.
But today, the weapon of choice is neither bullet nor wire snare. It is a poison, made in the USA, banned there, but sold freely in Africa.
Big cats take advantage of opportunity, as is their very nature. feeding on the panic of others like some irrepressible spirit.
I was watching the swamp lions today and thinking that it's a small miracle that we have let them survive at all. Lions are, after all, these massive killers that are more than half as high as an average man and are designed to kill, and they do still roam the earth. These obstinate creatures, to a degree where even an elephant really has to work hard to get to move off, refuse to go gently into that good night. The incredible summer storms remind me of a moment from a film we called Ultimate Enemies. It was the first time anyone had filmed lions hunting elephants. It surprised us. It's dramatic and intense. Your emotions get tossed around like passengers on a small vessel on a stormy night.
My heart pounds with anxiety during elephant kills. I want to shout out, go, run, but I don't. I can't. What good would it do? She was a straggler ambushed by a pride of specialist hunters and in one of the most agonizing and difficult hunts of our lives. I was shaking so much I could only get off 2 or 3 decent photographs and then stand back in awe, in reverence of the moment.
She gave up. We could see it happen. Life drained out of her, and it struck me that nothing is over until it is absolutely over.
She found her hope from somewhere, and it has stayed with us as a memory and an inspiration forever.
As she raced off into the darkness alive and a survivor, we adopted a new philosophy in life: hope. Lions may be heading for extinction by 2020, but the light has not gone out of their eyes yet either.
Each day we get hit by another storm or some other bad news about big cat numbers. It just makes us more determined to get out there, to make our stories more poignant, to talk to more people, because these wild places have something too magical about them to let go. So our odyssey is now turning into an obsession. The storms are heavier and the wet season longer now than before. Only the most hardy of people stay out here under these conditions.
At least we know that if it's so tough for us, the wildlife has some respite from poaching. It would be even more miserable for the poachers.
And it can be miserable. It's so tempting to give up and opt for a house that you can't huff and puff and blow down. I read once that we must accept our pain, change what we can, and laugh at the rest. Well, I'll add to that. Try to do that with your mouth closed. Standing water attracts baboons, and baboons' toilet habits are not what they should be.
There are times when discretion and looking really busy is better than a long discussion. Okay, I'm out of here.
Our investigations have shown us that these big cats are in trouble. Both specialists and generalists, the runners, the stalkers, those who live in trees and those in the open savanna. All of them. And for one reason only. Ultimately, we, as a species across the globe, do not like predators. They threaten us. They compete with us. And they make us scared. It's a perception I'm not sure we can change. But if we were actually making an effort to exterminate all big cats, we couldn't be doing a better job.
It is a perception we have tried to change. We started our work as no more than a celebration. Over 1 billion people have watched our films. Millions have seen the books and articles in dozens of languages, and yet we feel as though we have failed. The numbers don't lie. For each of Beverly's images that adorns a wall or exhibition, there are many stuffed heads with glassy eyes staring down at you. And perhaps we were right in the beginning. It does have to be about a celebration and respect.
It's time for us to be nomadic again. We've heard of a forgotten paradise of a different kind, and we want to see if there are other healthy predator populations, isolated from man's influence. But we never travel light. Apart from one bag of clothes, this is all camera gear. And despite what this looks like, we have everything we need in one load right here. We can survive for months on this. If we can get off the ground.
Leaving our island paradise always eats a hole in our hearts. Leaving Duba, as difficult as it is to work here, becomes harder and harder each time. Maybe we're losing that nomadic edge. Being in the air gives you perspective, but there are still questions that haunt us both. The biggest is, what can we do better to save big cats in a world that is so unaware of the problem?
What I do know is that there will be a deafening cry from Africa when the lions are silent, when the roars stop and the forest is peaceful. One of our experiences set us on a course to answer that burning question. It happened around the time of her first big kill. Although we had followed her since she was just 8 days old, what she did was a surprise even to us. But as she pulled the baboon up into the trees, something moved. A 1-day-old baby baboon. Lachadima hadn't noticed at first, but when it fell down, we got ready to film a short, sad moment. But she surprised us. She didn't try to kill the baby.
And then, as soon as there was a threat, she rescued it and took it to higher, safe branches.
For 4 hours, well into the night, she took care of the baby. A little playful at times and a little rough, but careful, and with a soft mouth, moving it out of harm's way in exactly the same way she would years later with her own cubs.
She seemed to be caught up in a dilemma between a desire to nurture and to play, suppressing her most natural instinct as a predator.
What changed us that day was the realization that our broad-stroke conservation, while concentrating on populations and big cat policies, was ignoring a vital fact. Each individual cat, like Lachudema, has a completely different personality and value. There are 50,000 Lachudemas out there, each with its life in our hands.
Eventually, she and the baby baboon snuggled up against the cold winter night and went to sleep together.
Lachudema turned us from filmmakers and conservationists into advocates for the big cats that don't always have the voice they need. In many ways, it was the culmination of our odyssey.
There is a point, as you fly south, where this lush green waterway is replaced by desert, and the Kalahari sands are exposed from under the water, and for a moment each time I see this, I feel as though I should politely look away from the naked earth. But deeply embedded in its skin are the marks of life, thousands upon thousands of hooves that have been using this as a migration route forever. This is even wilder than where we live, even more remote, and should be filled with specialized desert lions in high numbers. I wonder what we'll find. The future could be out there, a lost pride, with some of the last male lions that will carry the genes of survival through the corridors of sand and water back to our island.